The only effective Liberal ad this campaign really... Oh, sorry. No, let's talk first about the Labor campaign. I want to compare the two ads, the ad campaign, social media as well. I think Labor has actually had the most effective ads. They've been devastating, even when they're dishonest.
That's not my job. That's not my job. It's not my job to do that.
Authorised by P. Erickson, Australian Labor Party camp.
Now, the only Liberal ad that I think is, punched home has actually been a defensive one, not an attack ad, one exposing Labor's lies in that ad you just saw.
Why haven't you personally lost patience with Dan Andrews?
Because that's not my job. My job is to keep focused on the challenge that I have to protect Australians every single day. That's not my job, or whatever it happens to be. It's their money. It's their choice. I'm not going to go around telling Australians how to spend their own money. That's not my job. They're quite able to know what they should be doing with their own money.
Talk about Labor taking people deceitfully out of context. Well, apart from that, though, that Liberal counter ad, most of the Liberal ads have been more annoying and also making people think, well, wait a minute, life under the Liberals now isn't easy either.
Mr Albanese wanted big taxes on retirees and housing, now pretends he doesn't. He tells Melbourne he opposes coal, but tells Queensland he supports it. When Australia needs certainty, it won't be easy under Albanese. Authorised by Ahurst, Liberal, Canberra.
There's a hole in your budget, dear Labor, dear Labor.
Joining me is Daisy Cousens, a Sky News contributor and YouTube star with her own video channel. Check it out. Daisy, what do you make of the two ad campaigns you've been seeing on TV and on social media?
Well, look, on the Labor campaign, Andrew, I reckon Labor must have been taking lessons from CNN in how to take a Conservative politician out of context. That is just extraordinary what they did with that ad. I mean, it's like what CNN used to do with Donald Trump, would just take one thing he said, put it in a totally different context and make him look like a white supremacist or a Nazi or whatever they talked about. It's completely unbelievable. And look, while I'm never really surprised when politicians are dishonest. I mean, Andrew, they do have a bit of a reputation. I really do expect better of Labor than this, and I wouldn't normally say that about any kind of political party. And it also shows, Andrew, just how little Labor evidently has to offer Australians and just how completely uninspiring they are and how desperate they are to win. If these are the kind of tactics they have to resort to in order to woo Australians into voting for them. And the problem is, Andrew, as you said, the ads are quite devastating because, dishonest or not, they are effective. There will be people who watch that ad from Labor, have no idea that the quotes have been taken out of context because they won't have seen the Liberals ad because it came really too late. It was a defensive ad. And they will be swung to vote for Labor because of that dishonest ad campaign. And look, as for the Liberals, I'm glad they got at least one blow in there with their defensive one showing how it was taken out of context. But for goodness sake, the rest of the campaign, Andrew, I mean, what are they doing going around singing, there's a hole in your budget, dear Labor, dear Labor? What is that? Doesn't that just make you want to scream? It's like they're trying to paint themselves as naff and uninspiring. I mean, really, I don't think the voters want that either.
Well, I do think, if you want to win an argument with lies, it proves that the truth doesn't actually help you. And I just think that the Liberals should have, stressed that theme. And it does seem to me that Labor does tend to lie more extravagantly in campaigns. Now, 2 elections ago, it ran a campaign claiming the Liberals would privatise Medicare. It was always nonsense. This time it's been falsely claiming the Liberals would put people on the age pension on a debit card. Again, nonsense. And it's quoted Morrison deceitfully out of context, as we've just seen, saying it's not my job, when in fact it isn't his job to tell people how to spend their money. I wonder whether the Liberals are playing too nice.
Look, Andrew, I've been voting in elections since 2007, and it seems to me that each election, someone from Labor at some point has said, oh, the Liberals are going to privatise Medicare. It's like their line that they, wheel out every year. And of course it never happens because that's not a Liberal Party policy. Like, everyone loves Medicare. It's a bipartisan thing, It just never seems to happen. So, yes, it's an extraordinary, extravagant lie that they seem to wheel out again and again and again. And as for the Liberals, of course they're playing too nice. They have no teeth, Andrew, and it drives me mad. And it's not even just at a federal level. Look at the state Liberal oppositions over the course of coronavirus. I mean, look at the Queensland opposition. There was so much wrong with the Palaszczuk government's response to COVID. You know, the border closure, the fear-mongering, and they just sat on their hands and waited for the whole thing to be over. It was insane. The problem is, Andrew, this is actually endemic, I think, amongst conservative politicians globally. I mean, they get too sort of caught up with the principle of their message and being esoteric and erudite rather than actually landing some blows and tanking their opposition, which is what the left is all about. It's do or die by any means necessary. The only conservative leaders I can think of globally that have any kind of teeth or chutzpah are Nigel Farage, Donald Trump, and Ron DeSantis. And that's why people love them, because they actually go in there and fight the blows. And while I'm not saying conservatives should lie like the left does, you at least have to be willing sometimes to land a few low blows, because that's how you win things.
I don't know. Daisy Cousens, you could be right. Thank you so much for your time.